it is time for our roundtable session with topic of pandemic lessons, practical Sharia applications in health, wealth and estate planning. Before we start, I would like to introduce our moderator, Encik Muhammad Khairul Daim bin Ahmad Shamsuri, the Chairman of MFPC Sharia Financial Planning and Development Committee. The panelists are Encik Muhammad Asri Omar, the MTA Management Committee and Chief Executive Officer of Hong Leong MSIG Takaful Berhad. He graduated with Bachelor of Law and Sharia Law from University Islam Antarabangsa Malaysia. He also holds a bachelor degree in Business Administration from Malaysian Graduate School of Management. He has more than 20 years experience in the takaful industry and holds various positions including business development, legal, secretarial, Sharia, operations, risk management and compliance. Our second panelist, Ms. Wan Intan, a consultant, RFP, and certified HRDF trainer with over 25 years in the capital market industry. Her experience range from equity broking, investment banks, and Bursa Malaysia. Her portfolios provided valuable insights and participation in various areas pertaining to, but not limited to, risk management, compliance, audit, marketing, strategy, branding, and communications, financial planning, education, product development, conventional or Islamic, either directly or indirectly. She has now retired and selectively participates in stints as advisor, trainer, or educator. She actively supports digital education, financial literacy, and community building programs. Dr. Sadali Rasban, a principal consultant for 20 years with HT Advisory Services Private Limited. His company has developed Islamic wealth management system. He has developed a set of training materials for the creation of Islamic service provider. He has conducted talks on Islamic financial services, on zakat and estate planning, and also conduct training to financial advisors on zakat planning and estate planning. He is also a book author for several Islamic books which has been published. Without further ado, I will pass the floor to Encik Khairul Daim.
Thank you, Encik Amani, for the introduction and also introducing the panelists today. Audience, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the final session of the conference today, which is a roundtable discussion. My name is Daim and I am the moderator of the session today. And the topic of the roundtable is indeed an interesting one. Pandemic lessons, practical Sharia applications in health, wealth, and estate planning. For us to go deep into the topic, I am privileged to have three very distinguished panelists. They have abundance of experience combined in their respective areas, as how Ms. MC has introduced and provide some brief info and background of our panelists today. So welcome Encik Asri, Puan Wan Intan, and also Dr. Sadali. I hope we will have a meaningful and fruitful session for the day. For the benefits of the audience and also participants, what will happen in the next 1 hour or so is that for the first half of the session, we will have each of the panelists share their thoughts and views regarding the topic. Our esteemed panelists has prepared a short material and are given 7 to 9 minutes to cover those topics. And in the second half of the session, we will have a roundtable discussion. On that note, let us begin the session. So in a sequence of order, we will begin with Encik Asri, followed by Puan Wan Intan, and last but not least, Dr. Sadali. On that note, I would like to invite our first panelist, Encik Asri Omar, to share his thoughts on the topic given. Over to you, Encik Asri.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Encik Khairul Daim. Thank you also to the Master of Ceremony, President of MFPC, guests of honors, all the learned speakers, the co-panelists, and all the participants. Assalamualaikum, good afternoon, and selamat petang to all. Before I proceed further, I would like also to thank MFPC for inviting me here. and also to the sponsors who have made this event happen smoothly. So for the topic that is assigned to me, I think it is very timely for us to do some reflection after more than 2 years we have been hit by the pandemic. I think a lot of lesson learned, but we have few areas for us to talk. For me, in specific, I'll be talking from the angle of the Takafu, and my colleague will also be talking from the respective areas where they are very good at, because both are prominent in their own areas. So to start off the sharing for today's session, I think this is very key for all of us, that after we have been struck by the unprecedented concern brought by COVID-19 pandemic, I think we get to be more aware that there are a lot of precious things in our life need protection. So in trying to elaborate more on what I mean by precious thing, I think for Sharia perspective, we have many experts here. I think the Maqasid Sharia is the right measurement for us to understand what are the precious things in life. So according to the Maqasid of Sharia, the highest priority in terms of the most valuable thing that everyone should be given a chance to protect and exercise their right in terms of that will be the right for faith. Not only our own individual faith, we have to also respect the faith of other people. So next to that is life. Hence why there are very detailed and comprehensive rules and laws around the protection of life, be it in between the individual to the other individual, where it is forbidden under the Sharia law to actually harm the life of other people. But in the context of our discussion today, what then will be a wider scope of looking into protecting life in the context of keeping what will be needed by life to make sure that we can continue our life in a very good condition and comfortable condition as how we wish. Next to that, Sharia also plays a very high importance in keeping and protecting our wisdom. That's why anything that could harm your akal or your wisdom is forbidden under the Sharia. Also, in the list of 5 items which are deemed essential under Sharia is property. So, property here refers to the asset that you own validly under the principle of Sharia, and also your lineage or the keturunan. So, in the context of what I highlighted in the screen there, I intend to make the emphasis there are a lot of similarities which relates to the role of takaful. What will be the key things that enable us to make sure our life, our property, and our legacy could be well protected in the manner that we prefer, would have one common requirement, i.e. we have to be financially able to take care of it, to make sure that the continuation of good life, the passing on of the asset and property will happen properly and smoothly to benefit our own life and also the people who we might leave behind after our demise. So I will proceed further why I say that it is very important for us to have protection, not only to take care in the context of what we should do for the benefit of ensuring that we can live harmoniously and peacefully, but also to think in the situation or the worst case environment where we have to accept the fact that in this life, there are events or situations where we don't have control over it. So, in respect of what I'm trying to mean from that situation where we don't have full control of it, one of it was actually manifested through the pandemic COVID-19, where while we see that many people have already taken all the steps needed, but still they were infected by COVID, and some of them have already passed away because of the existing complication they may have, whether they knew or they have not known at the point they were infected. So in respect of this, I think, in respect of this, I think let us see what has happened globally, where we can see that the death has surpassed 5 million. Actually, what I'm sharing on the screen was the statistic at the beginning of February, or the first half of February. So in Malaysia alone, more than 30,000. So in the span of 2 years, for Malaysia alone, we can see that more than 2 million, in fact, close to 3 million. And I think in total, with above 5,000 numbers still now repeating on daily basis, probably it has already surpassed 3 million infected. And even though the percentage of recoveries have been high, but the death more than 30,000. That tells us that even in relation to COVID alone, there are spaces where we couldn't control. Hence, we have to think of, in the worst case scenario, then what should we be prepared about it? So in relation to the areas that I highlighted in my previous slide, pertaining to life, pertaining to the property, and also to the people who are dependent on us to make sure that the continuation of our generation. So then what should we do? So in order to prepare and ensure the progress of life, and also the prosperity in terms of asset, and also the well-being of whoever dependent on us for next generation to come, then all will require financial strength to make sure that we can prepare what is needed for all those aspects. So in the context of what are the common Sharia approved or Sharia aligned methods, there are in general 3 things that became the focus of building the protection, where one of it is takaful. Also, along with it, savings and also optimization of the wealth that we are having now through investment. But I will leave saving and investment to the other prominent speakers who's going to share with you soon, Puan Wan Intan. So I would like to reiterate on the importance of having protection. So when we say protection here, I mean to cover both family takaful and also general takaful. These are the concept which has been existing in our country since 1984. And I think now we have 11 players for family takaful and 4 players for general takaful. We have enough plan for all of us to consider. Be it for family, we have protection that concern about the benefit that has to be able to cushion our family in the event of our own death. We also have medical and health plan. We have education plan, endowment plan, so on and so forth. And for general, I think it's very, very relevant to everyone who owns vehicle. I believe all of us have no exception on it. The vehicle, motor vehicle cover, fire, house owner, personal accident, as well as travel takaful. So in trying to live and reflect our understanding of the hardship that has come together with the COVID-19 since 18 March 2021, where we were put under total lockdown at that point in time until we complete MCO 1, 2, 3, the extended MCO, all the juggles that came out through the efforts by the government to manage the COVID pandemic. The pandemic COVID-19. The Takaful industry has worked with all the Takaful operators under the guidance and oversight by Bank Negara. So we have come up with various efforts in trying to collectively fight pandemic together with the societies out there. So these are among the things that we have done: contributions, deferment, coming out with the fund to help people to test. That was during MCO 1 and 2. Also, some companies gave free coverage to the frontliners. Also, we do a lot of webinars, also the conversation with a group of people to make sure that they take appropriate actions to perform vaccination. And we even, some of us even offered the vaccine complementary cover for the people to have confidence and proceed with the vaccination. And in the event that they experience some in the event that they experience some complication, we will pay their cost for staying in the hospital to recover from the complication that happened to them. So these are some of the examples, not exhaustive. I believe some of you could have experienced for some of the things that I share here. Even there could be a few other items which I might not be able to cover all, but I think these are very key for us to together exhibit our serious intention to make sure that we provide the best to the people, so that people will be to some extent cushioned out in trying to survive during the COVID-19 pandemic strike. Anyway, I think while I highlight about the availability of Takaful for all of us to consider what will be the plan or product that will fit our need, I think for the benefit of the financial planners out there, particularly, it's worth for us to see what is actually the reality out there, and what will be at the same time opportunity for you to explore further to make sure that we can together work better towards increasing or addressing the challenges that we are facing now. So from the statistic available through the industry, when I say the industry, I also include, for the purpose of sharing this, include insurance as well. So in total, if we compare the certificates or policies of insurance owned by the people, now we are at 4 out of 10 individual based on the total population of Malaysia have policies, and 1.6 of the people who have policies have actually chosen Takaful as their product. So that is in terms of the overall number of people who have protection. But I think more interesting than that, while the penetration or the statistic of those who are having cover remains low, at the same time, those who have, also many of them not enough. Based on what Liam has performed survey a few years back, but I think this concern remains relevant until now. So we can see that the gap is so huge for all the segment in trying to come up with appropriate action. They segregated the study into those who have life insurance and medical insurance, those who only have life insurance, and those who didn't have any protection at that point in time. So we can see that the gaps above 500,000 for each category, which mean that even though 40% of the Malaysian population have life protection, but many of them don't have it enough. And many more don't have it at all. So this has been led by some misconception where I think many of them have a very wrong understanding about what is takaful or insurance. Probably some of them will think that it is expensive. Some of them will think that it is very, very complicated. It is not comprehensible, so that they don't want to deal with it. And they just, okay, it's not the thing that I want to concern, that they just go on with their life. And these are the group of people that I believe the financial planners will have to focus on to make sure that we can bring those who doesn't have. At the same time, we can alert those who already have, but not enough to cover the contingency that they have to prepare, as I think every individual at the point when they first subscribe to insurance or protection under conventional or takaful, probably if you compare with what they are now, I think there could be a lot more change in terms of the financial need that they have as compared to what they decided at the point of having one policy a few years back. So I think with regard to the misconception, I believe, ladies and gentlemen out there, you are also aware that the takaful industry, together with insurance, have done a lot in terms of trying to bring the level of awareness to be better than what it has been. Also, with the coordination by Bank Negara, we have come out with the plan, even for the people who are less affordable, to make sure that they are not left behind in terms of having the right to subscribe to the plan. We have already come up with Pelindungan Tenang. It has been more than a year available, and by September last year, another effort done by the government to provide 100 million as a fund for the B40 segment to subscribe to appropriate Tenang product, then for the takaful operators of insurance to claim the fund by the government to fund for 1 year cover under Tenang. So I think in overall, with the reflection about what has happened through pandemic, that we became more aware about everyone has to have protection, and not only just have it, but have it adequately. I think it is very key for us to continue to play our role more seriously and with a more appropriate strategy to make sure that we can reach out. Now we have not only the ability to promote and explain on the product physically by face-to-face, but a lot of companies even now have the promotion or e-communication that help to ease them to continue to promote products while the situation for COVID is not fully eliminated back to the old normal. So the conclusion, yes, let's together get more people to be protected adequately and help them increase if the existing coverage that they have is not enough to respond to their need, the recent need that they have. So that's all, moderator, for the first round. Probably we can talk more about some of the other aspect of it in the next round of our session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cik Asri. Two key points that I can take away from your from this first round from Cik Asri is about advocacy of protection and also the opportunity for us to get Malaysians protected. On that note, let's move on to the next second panelist, Puan Wan Intan. The floor is yours to share about investment.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Hold on, I am unable to share screen. Could the Secretariat assist me? Okay, all right, thank you. You've given me access. Hold on. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yep, it's clear now.
It's clear now, so okay. Thank you very much to MFPC for the invitation. And my session today is to talk about wealth and investment. So I do hope that, everyone will have some takeaways from my presentation. So first and foremost, I need to do this disclaimer. So this is for educational purposes. Whatever that I've shared is actually from either my own experience or together with my contacts in the industry. So should you be interested to look into it, please deal with the licensed personnel as also the regulators from the respective countries that you are looking into that product into, yeah? Okay, so this is our life journey. I saw this book at the shop and I think it's just really on point. So all of us have the same path, we live and then we work and work and work and then we die. So everyone has the same path. It's just whether it's a short path or a long path or a difficult path or an easy path, or whether you have abundance of opportunities throughout your life or you have limited opportunities across your life. So I think this is a starting point on how we want to invest and ensure that we have enough money for ourselves while we're alive and also when we're no longer around. Okay, so it's just completely just these two factors. It's just risk and rewards. So how do you want to balance this? If you have a certain formula that you can apply to yourself, then good. Otherwise, you need to test it out around. You have multiple portfolios, check with your colleagues and also maybe friends who have their own parameters of risk, and maybe you can share, and that's where you start, in terms of your own portfolio. So why plan? You definitely need to plan. There's no way you don't plan. You must plan, because in a typical journey, right? So you graduate, possibly around 25, and then you move on and you retire. But along the way, this is where you actually learn, find out new things, do all the investments, and then make sure you are covered in terms of hedging. You take your insurance, you diversify your portfolio, you change and rebalance as and when needed. Why? Because you need to accumulate that enough amount of money for your retirement. And obviously all of us want to have that very beautiful straight path, right, from point A to B, which, well, point B is where we die. So we want to have a straight line, but normally, more often than not, you probably won't get a straight line. Our lives will be like this. So you need to manage it in terms of risk as well. So just have a quick look on the overall global scene. So for Dubai, we will start off on the same level of starting point. February, March 2020, if you look at the graph, that's where everything just collapsed. Everything fell, and subsequently over time things recovered and it moved upwards. Same for Bursa Malaysia Hijrah Index, but in this case it actually declined and is currently in a I would say stagnated area level of trading. And the best right now, if you look at the charts, it looks like Wahid. Okay, they dropped, same period as everyone else, February and March, but you can see they have actually moved on. They've the prices have actually advanced quite aggressively. And just a short advice in terms of, I know a lot of us will probably have shares in the market. So there's thousands and thousands of shares around. So how do you pick? For me, for an easy filter to cut short the filtering process, I would look at ETF or I would look at index linked. So if the index-linked funds are actually moving, that means the portfolio within the band, within that particular group is actually moving. So just check around what are the counters and what are the industry that they represent. That at least should just filter you, for some basic moment, just to start off with a portfolio assessment on your own. So what do you need to do? Explore, you need to accumulate, and then you need to know how to keep it. Because otherwise you will just be buying things, buy a house, buy a big car, buy a bigger car, buy more cars. Some people have 10 cars. And why would you need so many? Are you just purchasing it for now, while you're alive? Because there's these two aspects, which is very important. You need to do it in a responsible manner and wisely. And you need to also prepare your investments while you're alive and when you're dead. So this is the part where people forget. They don't prepare the investments for the time that they are no longer around. And how we want to manage that, our Sharia wealth through investments, I will go through these three pillars. You accumulate, and after that, your phase 2, you need to sustain it for yourself, for your family, for your community. You hedge, you protect, and so this is where your insurance comes in, portfolio rebalancing comes in, you manage your risk here. This is where you monitor. And the third phase is the legacy, estate planning. Very, very, very important. That must be prepared. This is not just for your next of kin, it is also for yourself, because the responsibility lies upwards for your parents, and also downwards for your children, and also peer level, for your spouse. So what are the choices that you have? When death happens, it will definitely happen, but you will need to prepare this for estate planning. So you must make sure you have enough money. The investments that you do are enough to cover these three categories. And of course, yourself. And how do you want to do it is through either wakaf or donation. I think there'll be other discussions after this, where we can explore how else you invest, not just in the time frame of you being alive. It's also beyond that as well. How do you want to continue to at least gain your pahala, your berkat, even after you've passed on? And why I like the word hedging, and why I would like to encourage all the participants to apply this concept in your life, because it's a protection of your wealth. You must look at it. It is your duty to protect. And once you have adapted it into your system, you can see that a lot of your work and process of doing things will be a bit more structured. For example, your insurance, your car, your house, you will definitely get things to be covered because you need to hedge. What are the choices that you can do in a typical investments? But pre-MCO, normally this is something that you may do. Education as well. So I do note that Mr. Lee earlier mentioned about, during the pandemic, there was a lot on education also that was also affected. But there are some companies which actually step in. For example, Sasmadi. They were ahead beyond time. They prepared their online education system. So they actually provided for free for SPM students. That is something community that they have actually helped out for SPM students in 2020, which I thought was a very good example for them to lead and partner with Telecom and Huawei on that initiative. So we look into how we want to filter and look at stocks later. And there will be a short crisis, I would say, in a way that which are the things or items that you want to choose. The latest example will be this announcement. So if you are already in the Sharia fund and you feel that it's lower and you need to increase it, your money in EPF is already your money in EPF. So be it. Yeah. So that's why you need to explore. That's why we need to continuously learn, educate ourselves, get new items, new information to be, on ourselves for us to learn. Legacy is important. Family financial security is important. So what are the multiple income streams, which is normally done before the MCO? You work 9 to 5. You do a business, either physical or online. You do some cross-selling, you get some commission in between. Digital networking and also affiliate marketing. And for the shares and equity market traders, they purposely just purchase shares just to accumulate dividends. So they are not a trader. So they don't buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. They just pick a good stock and they just keep it because they want the dividends. And also referral income for any other businesses. But when you have this new normal now, a new environment that we need to adapt. So what do we need to do? We need to change. We need to find ways of how we want to add on to our investments, because we can't see people anymore. We can't meet our advisors. So we go into robo-advisory. There's also P2P, equity crowdfunding, and also crowdfunding that pertains to properties, SME financing, bridge financing as well. Some of the names that I could, pluck out from my dealings with my group that we actually engage quite often. It's actually quite interesting. Coming out into the market, you can see of course, Wahid is very, popular. Most of, not everyone would know about them as well. If you look at in US, there's got, we have Agas, there's Fursa Capital, all crowdfunding type, and also robo-advisory. In UK, you can also look at Maiden Capital, equity crowdfunding. They recently signed something about 6 days ago, so they're very, very active. So it's quite interesting. You can actually do a read up on that. IFG as well, Yielders. There's also Cardus, Nesta. What else? Yeah. Indonesia has quite a list as well. So as far as I know now, they have 5 which is Sharia compliant, but they have a lot. I think about 80, 90 which are around. But we're looking at Sharia only. So you just look at the 5. So I think that is very, very key for you to just explore. These are the ways where you can actually invest and put money globally, aside from you putting your money in Malaysia and invest in the companies here and the stocks here. Why not you look up outwards for global markets as well? But of course, definitely you need to learn, you need to understand, you need to know the pros and cons as well. And the other item that I think is very important is the knowledge, the information. Where do you want to get it? So just join Discord, not just Facebook. Okay, Facebook is like, I don't know how many years ago. So now you look at Discord, go to the servers, pick a server that actually is with your wavelength and with a group of people that is with your same mindset. Basically, you can have the same intentions. And the beauty of it is it's global. So you've got a group like probably 50 or 100 and from all over the world. So the amount of information and sharing is fantastic. So I do encourage you to actually explore learning, through these platforms. Also, try to find ways of doing gamification for us to get the young ones to be more interested in Islamic finance and Islamic investments, because they like gamification. Just find a way to tune it, to change it, that form of game or esports will have an element of learning of Islamic finance in it. So it's all about choices. So investment angle, I think these 2 angles that we need to look at, or whether you have very big capital, so that means you can look at create your own products, you commercialize it, you create something for the whole global community, or maybe on the left side, on the individual capacity, try to help out the lower and middle income group, because for financial planners, I believe you are serving these 2 groups, which is the high net worth and also lower middle income group. I like to pick about what Dr. Abdul Rahman said just now. He says the importance of helping each other. So this is where we need to help each other. Try to help them to boost their savings so that they can actually have extra cash, and of course, hopefully they can buy insurance to then protect themselves as well. So just the point of stats that I wanted to share. This is P2P data, but just, aside from it being a P2P data, look at the part here on the left here. It says it's 61%, which are below 35 years old, are already looking into this digital type of investments. So your group of potential clients for financial planners are getting younger and younger. So don't forget, as what the speaker before this also mentioned, Mr. Suhazi, he mentioned that your customers are getting smarter. They have all access to information. They probably know more. So, and this group proves it. Yeah, this data proves it. Below 35, they're already into the market. I have the latest data here, but unfortunately, there's this new, point that they have the option to choose not to declare their age. So, therefore, that's the not applicable here. So, you can't see the data in completeness. So, I like to refer back to the previous data where the NA wasn't around. So, at least you can see that 61%. the young are already coming in. So we have no way to avoid it. Digital way and the new modern way of doing investments is the way to go. You have to change. This is just an example. Because we have a constraint of time, I can't show everything. So P2P is another way of investing. So a person with smaller cash, 50 ringgit, 100 ringgit, they have smaller cash that they want to invest and they can't look at the bigger avenues. This could be a platform for them. So please help them and educate your customers that this could possibly be a platform. But for those of you who have bigger cash, please try to move on, to go to other assets which needs capital. Give a chance to our other friends that need this. This is just a straightforward calculation. Not referring to any particular notes. It's just for example purposes. If you have 10,000 and you pick notes of 3 to 8 months and you choose the particular amount that you want to go in, you break it down, you split it, 3,000, 1,005, and this is the amount that you make. If you put it in FD, obviously FD won't take your 10,000, right? It has to be 50 at least. But for example purposes, if you can get more, why not? So if you can look into this as an avenue to help our lower income group to build their investment, at least from there we can at least start with something. And if they need to know more, the list is available on the Securities Commission website. You can explore the list of registered market operators and also the licensed fintech operators. It's all there. So that's my presentation for today, and I hand it back over to Mr. Daim and the MFPC for the next person. Thank you.
Thank you, Puan Intan. That's a pretty much concise and precise, I would say, pointers on wealth. So if I can take few key points from what Puan Intan has shared, it's about us planning and plan early, and it's about us investing in knowledge to grow our wealth. And of course, the other one that probably is an eye-opener, especially post-pandemic or during the COVID-19 crisis, we can see there's a lot of diversity of the options for us to go into, from the traditional investment platform to the not so traditional as in the P2P. One Intan throw in, chip in few examples just now. So we go back into that points in our second round of questions. So we have covered protection, health, we have covered wealth and investment. So it's seamless for us to go to the third line, I would say, or the third pillar of the agenda for today. That is about estate planning. And I would be privileged to have Dr. Sadali to share with us what he has to offer in his materials. Over to you, Dr. Sadali.
Welcome to all. I'll try to get my screen share. See. How does it work? Okay, got it. Okay, I'm in the screen now. Can you hear me? Good, huh? Okay, so welcome to all. Okay, let me share about estate planning. I'm specialized in Singapore. So by the way, the word HT means high touch, human touch, high tech. Okay, which is what we were talking about in the past, last speakers, about the high human touch. Very important. You guys, the planners, don't worry, your job will be there. Because without human touch, the technology won't work. Okay, so let's talk about estate planning. Okay, estate planning is something a lot of people have overlooked. In fact, most of them plan to create a wealth and protect, but they forget that death is certain, right? Okay, let's go to want to show you about estate planning. Okay, what's important estate planning? Estate planning is very important. In fact, it is the word amanah is a trust for us to dispose of our asset. Okay, in Quran with Sharia, the word I will use is Sharia. Okay, not Muslim law. Okay, Sharia is very important here. The word Muslim law is a different thing from Sharia. Sharia is a bigger perspective of Muslim law, actually. Okay, what happens if you look at a situation where the son, men have a son and daughter. The daughter is handicapped, and if you base on Muslim law, Faraid, the son will get 2 parts. The daughter will get 1 part. Okay, so how can you assure that the daughter will be looked after when the daughter is handicapped and the son is a spendthrift, or even use a lot of fund for some un-Islamic activities. Okay, so this is where in Sharia is concerned, we can protect the daughter under the Sharia aspect. Not Muslim law is quite difficult. It's just one part of the Sharia actually. Ultimately, estate planning is to achieve justice, to make sure that the one in need are protected. And of course, the next thing we talk about in estate planning, how easy is the wealth to be transferred to the beneficiary upon demise. And this is where many people may have takaful, but many of them also do not do nomination, right? Which is very important because nomination avoid all those probate process, which is very tedious and costly to some extent. So with nomination with no cost at all, the wealth, the takaful that you have planned can be transferred to the person intended for, right? This is very good evidence to show that in Malaysia, the Metro article 70 billion RM are not disposed of. The cause of this basically is the lack of knowledge among the Muslim community, and the financial advisor actually have an important role to play to educate the Muslim in this area. But not to worry about Muslim law. There's a lot of Muslim courses in English actually. So it's just that when you go for such courses, it's just a new set of law you learn. Just like you know insurance law well, but when you go to business law, you learn about business law, right? You go to business area, you learn business law. So it's something new, but it's not that difficult to learn because most of the courses are in English. In fact, in Malaysia, I know. Okay, what is estate planning? Estate planning is a concept of individual who is entrusted with the wealth and amanah to ensure that the deceased liability is all settled, create enough fund for the dependent, and this is where the takaful play a very important role in the estate planning. And I understand there's a big gap there among the in the community. That means insufficient coverage for most people. Then the transfer upon demise to dependent as per Muslim law. Okay, the transfer is as per Muslim law, but you must achieve the maqasid of Sharia, the objective of Sharia is justice, where the needy are protected. Okay? It's not just to give to the son, the man the 2 portion, and the female 1 portion. How do you enforce the responsibility of the male to the female? We're talking about Faraid law. And the next thing is that the transfer must be easy. Minimize cost of transfer. So denomination, assignment are all very useful tools. Even in joint ownership, under joint tenancy, I believe Malaysia have that, right? Joint tenancy, which I think has been recognized as Hibah Rukbah by the SAC. Okay? This is where the challenges in wealth transfer. There's 2 parts here. One is the probate cost, one is the probate process, the other one is the Muslim law. The probate is where this is basically a requirement by the court that an order must be given to an individual to administer the estate. But if you have no will, no planning, that means there's a lot of legal air involved, and all of them can be administrator. To appoint 1 person can be very tedious. I know of a case in Singapore, a small estate, they have to appoint 3 administrators. The wife, the daughters, and the sibling. If only the deceased have done a will, appoint A, the wife, she don't need the approval or consent of the other 2 parties. It's very complicated. 5 years just to get a court order. That to dispose an asset that worth not much. And now, of course, if you have a will, a letter of probate, it will ace off. As I said, if you have a will, whoever you appointed as an executor can easily do the job without the consent of the other parties, the other legal heir. And Muslim law here is very complicated, slightly complicated. But the Muslim law, what we understand, what we have seen in the Muslim world, when they talk about wealth transfer upon demise, Muslim law is always equated to Faraid. Okay? Faraid. So this is where the problem comes in. Okay, this is Muslim law. You can see here, there are so many instruments in Muslim wealth transfer, nomination, hibah, hibah mutlak, hibah hibah, the contingent, the hibah rukbah, contingent hibah, atas pencarian, amanah, wasiah, faraid. Okay? There are many instruments in Muslim law on asset transfer. It's just that we tend to focus with the faraid law all the time. Okay? So we overlook all other instruments. So Muslim law does not encompass faraid only. It is only one of the tools to be used at the last stage when one does not do any planning. It is the last law to be used. There are other laws to be used in Muslim law to achieve the maqasid. Relying on one instrument will not be helpful to the Muslim. Okay, of course, I will not be able to go to the detail, but basically, as an advisor, you should know about the characteristic of each Muslim law. How does the faraid law work? How does the wasiat work? What is the limitation of those instruments? What is the quantum can you give? Example, in the faraid system, it's very clear. Most people will know the male get 2 portions, the female get 1 portion. On the wasiyah, what's the quantum? You will know that only 1/3 can be given away, right? And to non-waris, right? The beneficiary. These are some characteristics of the law that the advisor should know. Of course, all this knowledge can be acquired through proper training. Okay, and how the state law affect it. I know in Malaysia there's so many land law regarding these small land, special unique law, and different state law apply in different countries. So you may have to know some of the state law in different countries as well. So I'm not expert in the state law in Malaysia. Okay, as mentioned, debt is certain. Okay, we can never avoid. Even the richest person in the world can never avoid death, right? What's his name? The one founded Apple, Steve Jobs, right? He cannot buy death. Nobody can buy death. So it is important for us to do estate planning. In fact, if you, as an advisor, my experience as an advisor the past 30 years, it is through estate planning that I get more financial asset to promote to the client, more insurance and more investment product. Because through estate planning, you will be able to gather what the client has, what are the gaps, and what the client have in mind about investment, who's supposed to get. So from this information, you'll be able to know, you can able to detect the gaps, right? So from there, you knowing all this information is very confidential. If they can give you this information, I mean they trusted you. So this is where, as an advisor, we are not selling any product. We are providing services which are very important to ensure that the wealth created does not go to the wrong hand. It goes to people intended for. So that wealth was created. That was my last slide. Just nice, 8 minutes. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Sadali. Yeah, so one of the key interesting points that Dr. Sadali has mentioned is about how probably people misperceive or have this kind of misconception on about what Islamic or Sharia estate planning is. They thought faraid is everything, but it's actually, as what Dr. Sadali put it just now, it is actually the last thing that is to kicks in after the death. We can do way much other instruments during our lifetime. So that wraps up the first round of our session. I know that we are a little bit running out of time, but since we have the privilege of having 3 distinguished panelists with us today, probably I would like to seek the permission of all the audience plus our panelists, probably for us to end slightly later, probably around 1:20 or 1:15, if that is okay with everyone. And on that note, I would like to go to the first round of our Q&A that I have at hand. So based on what we have seen, the global pandemic is really worse. It impacts everyone. It impacts not only individual, it impacts the big corporations. We have seen the vulnerability of people when it comes to their health, wealth, and also estate planning. So on this note, can I ask each of the panelists to share what are the top lessons from your respective areas arising from the pandemic? That is one. And as a follow-up to that, probably you can also share in terms of your experience or your observations on the misconception that the people out there have in relation to health, wealth, or estate planning, and probably you can share some tips on the right thing to do or to avoid such misconception. Probably we will begin with Encik Asri.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Very rightly phrased question. I think what I would think the key is let's not procrastinate. So as we know that there are things that we can do now for the sake of making our life or the things which are precious to us better in the time to come, let's act now. So the situations that I've seen, there are cases where people just subscribe to the plan in just a single digit weeks before they suddenly pass away. Many instances, but I think for COVID in specific, there are a few cases that I captured from our record, which shows that time is an essence. That's why I think in Islam also a lot of emphasis about don't waste the time. And one of the key things that we can do now, not to waste our time, is let's do our part to make sure that we can bring more people who doesn't have protection and reach out to more people who even have the coverage to make sure that they increase to the level that they can afford, but they have not probably taken action enough before. Thanks.
Thank you, Encik Asri, for your take on that question. Puan Intan, what's your take in terms of the lesson and also the misconception?
Okay, from my point of view on an investment angle, right? I mean, knowledge is key. You just need to make sure that you're always updated so you are flexible and able to switch in any situation. So in terms of, understanding the market economics, basically you need to know what is pandemic proof, what types of businesses that you should actually diversify your portfolio. For example, digital education, medical supplies, medical care, that will not go away, right? I mean, whatever happens is still going to be there. School is still going to be there. Education is still going to be there. The hospital is going to be there. The doctor is still going to be there. So those kind of businesses will still be around. The things that might be affected probably will be tourism, airline, transport, labor-intensive type of industry. So what I would like to highlight is diversify. Just because you particularly just like one particular industry doesn't mean that you must put 80% of your funds, just in just that one area. Please learn to share it out, spread out your risk. That's called hedging again. So I really would encourage people to start to apply that concept, because you don't want to just put everything at one go. And of course, the insurance is extremely important. I lost a number of friends as well. On a personal basis, I opened up my I have a Facebook just for social connection, school friends, and that's it. It's just chit-chatting and all that. I opened up on I think it was in 2020, and no, 2020. I saw a photo of a grave and with her name on the tombstone. I got a shock. And when I read that downwards, it was actually a posting by her son. He actually used the account to actually notify everyone that the mother had passed away. So he lost his mom, he lost his auntie, and his father as well. 3 at one go. And this is in Jakarta. It was in Indonesia. So one of my colleagues that I deal with. So it was quite shocking for me, especially, on that basis. I just chatted with her, about a month ago before that. We said, okay, when COVID is over, I'm going to go to Jakarta, you're going to come here. So these kind of things, you don't wait. If you need to do things, you just have to do. Try to find businesses or business model that would allow your income stream to be retained. If it's not possible to be continued to still come in even after you are dead, there is one that I found is this based in Indonesia called Bangun Usaha Sukses Sejahtera, and they actually have a tie-up now with a Malaysian entity. So that is another way of looking at it. Other ways would be referral income, education, things that you can get out of, how shall I put it, with zero or very, very minimal capital outlay, because these are the people that you need to help, right? Because they lost their job. So how else can you help them to build up their cash? So find ways, which there are. So this is where you need to go and explore on all these platforms to find out more things, so that you can get to get all this information. So my point that I wanted to raise from this is that learning never ends. It helps, especially in estate planning. Also in the case of a personal case as well for me, for my family, my father passed away. So everything was sorted out within a week. 1 week. Because no one contested. It was exactly what my father wanted. So it was done. And whatever that is in the process of being handled or helped by the organization, like 30 working days upon notification of death, okay, that one is fine. So immediately everything is all done. So to me, it was no problem. But I saw the problem in other cases of friends and or other people which did not plan for anything, and COVID happens. And suddenly the breadwinner dies, or the main person of the family, either a single parent, whether the mother or the father pass away, everything just collapsed. The children are not taken care of. So I think that is very important. Please don't wait. Please take insurance. That needs to be done immediately. Don't wait. So that's my sharing for my part.
Thank you, Puan Wan Intan. So I think the GSC also, Puan Wan Intan speaks of the same tone in terms of planning, doing it right, doing it timely. So Dr. Sadali, in terms of your practice estate planning, right, what are the additional lessons or things that is really pressing for us to know, especially learnings, the pandemic, kematian itu pasti, as the Malay says, right? So any view on this?
Yeah, the topic tells us a lot of things that, of course, we know, as I mentioned, the job is certain, right? Number two, when we do not know. Okay, you can be very healthy now. One epidemic can strike you off. You can be very rich. You can never buy the death, right? So it's important that the Muslim must do immediately their estate planning, because every one of them out there already have their wealth. And they have dependents, their family will survive after them. How do you provide for them if you're not around tomorrow? Right? So it is a very fundamental part of planning, actually, that you cannot ignore. They have to be done immediately to protect the family. But you realize that the concept of takaful is very important. It's the first step to create wealth for the family. And it's not only for the family. You understand that when you go into takaful, you are going to a concept of helping each other. You may not be making a claim today, but you realize that the premium that you paid for is to help other people who are in the policy. Correct? The same thing as insurance, investment. When you go into investment, right, it's not only to make wealth for yourself, but you realize that your investment allow the company that you invested to expand and create new jobs and create employment for others. So this is very fundamental in Islamic wealth management, protection, investment, planning for transfer. They're all integrated into one, actually. There's no, and for an advisor, you may not be an expert in all areas, but have some basic knowledge of it, because let the expert do the job. You want to talk about takaful, go to the takaful guy. He can tell you all kind of products. And we mentioned that people are more educated, right? But let's be truthful. Nobody knows everything. The guy can be a professional in his field, but he may not be financially literate. May not know how takaful works. What are the benefits of takaful, right? If you look at the takaful contract, one policy, how many pages of contract you have there? Nobody have the time to read. Same as investment. Okay, so we promote the concept of protecting, investing, and transfer upon demise. The product specialist will assist you. You learn from the product producer. Okay? And of course, for yourself, when you talk about estate planning, don't forget you can do something for yourself, legacy. Okay, when we die, you bring along three things. The children will pray for us. Okay, the knowledge that you can impart to the world that are beneficial. And the next thing you can do is what they call amal jariah. Do some wakaf, even small amount, $50 a month. $50 a month, $50 a month ringgit, you know. You can contribute maybe to build a quarter part of the mosque, right? So it is a wonderful system actually. Working together. Investment is working together. Takaful is working together. Okay, for the benefit of humanity. When you come together for Jamaah, everybody is benefit. Okay? That's what I have. Khairul,
Thank you
all yours. Back to you.
for the words of wisdom. I like the connotation about berjemaah, whether we realize this or not, right? Like what Dr. Sadali mentioned, takaful is about pooling of money for you to help each other. Same goes with our wealth creation. Actually, we pool the money together, whether the underlying syariah contract can be mutarabah, all the syariah contracts out there. But it's about pooling again. When we talk about the estate planning, it's about us helping each other where the next of kin, the heirs, those who are still living and breathing in the world, helping those who are the families who are indeed who has just lost their loved ones. And I want to bring the next round to get some insight from our panelists in terms of real life example, real life experience. COVID definitely a real life changing experience for one of us, whether it directly impacts us or we have seen people close to us are impacted by that. And I would like also to thank Puan Wan Intan for sharing her personal experience in dealing with wealth creation, wealth distribution. So on this note, right, to the panelists, can I ask for each of the panelists to share real experience from your respective individual practice on from your organization when you look back and ponder pertaining to the pandemic lessons? Again, I'd like to begin with Cik Asri on this question.
Thank you, Jadaim. I think there are numbers of cases where it helped me to reflect and it further emphasized on the importance of the continuous effort by the company and also collectively by financial planners and all the other part of the ecosystem to continue to play our role. I think pandemic gave us a number of examples. But I think for a limited time that we are having today, probably I share about what I indicated before. There are two cases where I think in our record, we have a couple below 40. Their first house just bought less than 1 month. After they complete the loan and everything, then the process took place because for documentation. This is about the mortgage takaful plan. So in less than a month from the setting in force of the case, then the father got infected, passed away, leaving the wife with the kids. And actually, wife was also infected, and kid was taken care of by the family. So it was a very sad situation that happened out of sudden. They managed to get all the documentation completed. Loan was disbursed, and Alhamdulillah, I think it was a very lucky ending for the family in relation to that phase in life, because the asset became the asset of the family after the sudden death of the father. Another one is even a younger couple, I think 35 years old, got kids in one in secondary school, one was still below 6 years, not attending to school yet. They just bought one of the plan that we came up with, I think PTPTN, and that was actually their first plan financial product that they subscribed that has Takaful coverage, and it was actually worth for them to responded to the salesperson or the promoters of PTPTN, and for the subscription that running by number of days, 48 days from the first coverage comment, then some thousands went to the young wife and two of their kids. So that is to me an example of a real life example of how unforeseeable things could be when we talk about things that are not 100% within our control. And in relation to life, whether we will continue to retain what we are having or not, whether we will be able to enjoy the same thing or not from what we are having today. Tomorrow, I think not everything will be as certain as how we thought. So same rules applies to the rest, those who are surrounding us. Let's share more so that more actions and more decision to be more prepared could be taken by the people who are whom we concern most. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chastity. Yeah, definitely that's a very life-changing experience, I would say, to the beneficiaries or to the recipients of the Takaful benefits that who are protected by the protection that their loved one has taken during their time. Thank you, Gil. Puan Wanita, any thoughts from your side?
Oh, I think on the investment side, there's always a lot of misconceptions. People think like, I attend a course and then, I immediately get smart and I can invest and become a super trader. That doesn't happen. It's over time. You need to learn. You need to definitely do some mistakes. It's a very expensive tuition fee when you lose money, but it's all goes along the way. Yeah, because that's why you need to have that continuous learning. So try not to actually put the cash in unless you are really, really confident you have the enough knowledge. So the misconception that I see is actually they think that, for example, they call it this company is fake, but actually the company name is correct, but it's actually someone else notoriously in Malaysia created another company with the same name, which mirrors the name of this correct company overseas. So people may think that this might be a Malaysian representative office, or then they get into that trap of getting conned. So that is the misconception that that name is no good or that name is fake and a scam. But you need to do your homework basically. If high net worth clients or really really affluent, they will definitely invest their money overseas, right? It's not 100% Malaysia. Definitely they will go overseas. So they would have someone advise them, definitely. Or if not, they would have done their own homework. Of course, it's their own money. It's your own money. You must do your due diligence as well, to be responsible for your own money before you invest. So the misconception of these names, if they look at one name is wrong, everything is wrong. No. Actually, please do your homework, read a bit. Every company and where they operate is governed by the regulator of that particular country. So just check first whether that country, that particular name of that entity, and when you open, it has to be an entity that is registered and licensed. That is the whole gist of it. It has to be a licensed entity. So that is the part on investments that I think a lot of people usually don't quite understand, and they just get conned. I had to explain thoroughly on this many times during my career, and explain about license. Please check, do they have license or not? If there's no license, don't talk to them. Basically, that's it. It's as simple as that. Second part is insurance. Insurance. Because as you know, right, by now, right, it has to be hedging, right? So everything has to be protected. To me, I would like to encourage everyone, to take up insurance. Maybe see in Cik Asri or Hong Leong and see what the list of products that they have, whether it meets or suits your needs. Why? Because you have people on the ground who are telling certain things which are not entirely correct, and the public accepts and take it as the correct information. For example, this is probably something which is a bit out of context, but it goes back to you. It goes back to investment. It goes back to the money that is going to be depleted. It goes back to money that's going to be wasted because you didn't cover yourself for insurance. Basically, there are a lot of people saying that if you take certain supplements, this can avoid cancer, this can avoid this can avoid that, so you don't need insurance. But actually, if you really think properly, insurance is not just the critical illness. It covers a whole lot of other things. Replacement income, in case you fall down and you break your leg into an accident, something happens, you need to do an x-ray, you get admitted. So there's a whole lot of other things that are also covered. But just because you mentioned that one thing, everyone doesn't want to buy insurance. They just go and buy an alternative item. But they don't see it from the long term. So that's why I said the behavior of us, and also I think it's our responsibility to also teach this and explain this to the public. They need to plan. If you don't plan and you are not aware of all these possible things, horrible things that could happen, you are not prepared. And when that happens, it's going to deplete and take away your cash. So this is going to erode my investment anyway, my savings. So it will impact. So to me, it will impact my investment. So I don't want that. So I get myself covered. If anything happens, is already, settled. I don't need to think about it. So these are the two areas of misconceptions that I can think of, in areas linking back to investment, in linking it back to money that can be eroded because you lack planning. You lack the risk management. You didn't think about what can happen later on 5-10 years. That must be done. If we don't plan, it's hard. It's very hard for us to actually change the mindset if they don't want to adapt. So yeah, that's from me.
So much. Sadali, the same question goes to you, but it's just that I would like to add an additional perspective to that. There's always a taboo, especially among the Malay Muslim, when we talk about estate planning. Dialogues in the drama, Malay drama, we say tanah masih merah, or the dirt or the soil is still red. What is your take to debunk this myth? Plus, of course, you can share one or two real life example that you have seen in your practice. Thank you.
The soil is still red, is it? Okay, asset planning is before the soil is red, you start to do the plan. Okay, the transfer can be done after the soil is dry. It's not an issue. But it's just that the misconception for Muslim is that they cannot do asset planning. They have to comply to Faraid. This is a very, very serious misunderstanding of Sharia. When you plan based on Sharia, not based on Faraid, not based on Hibah, based on Wasiah. The mechanism of transfer will be Faraid or Wasiah or Amanah, But I have a very typical case where a young man died and leave behind mother, father, and siblings. Based on Faraid law, there was no estate planning done. The father get 5/6, the mother get 1/6. Okay, looks fine, right? Of course, it looks fine. If the father is there, they will divorce when he was much younger, in primary 5, whatever. Okay, he died at the age of 30 plus. So it was the mother who raised the child up. Okay, and the father get 5/6 of his estate, and the mother get 1/6 of the estate. Where is the Sharia? If you are together, it's no problem, because the father is obligated to support the mother all the way out until she dies. But now the father has a new family. He has to support his new family. Okay, so where is the Sharia in that system? Okay, if you don't plan, this can happen. Okay, of course, if you plan, you do justice. You protect your mother by means of hibah, by means of nomination, to takaful product, okay, investment, joint name with your mother, right? That may give a token to your father. After all, he is your father anyway. Like one intan said that Yeah, Farah is correct. In terms of estate planning, you must protect the descendant first, the downward, the children, then the parent. Okay, and then the spouse, of course, the next one will be the secondary heir. We call it the siblings. So you can do estate planning according to Hiba concept. You can protect the mother more than the father, because the father is independent. He can survive on his own, but the mother may not be able. So the need estate planning not depending on Farah alone. We have to comply with the Sharia. That's all. Okay? So this is where the missing part of our system is that when we talk about estate planning, we always talk about Farah and we only talk about distribution. We never talk about responsibility, accountability, love and care for other people. This is not right. So the estate planning will enforce this. Okay? We'll put it in order. So this will make the Sharia or Farah law or the Wasiya law a wonderful law. Okay, that's what I have.
Thank you. That is a very powerful closing statement in your statement just now, Dr. Sadali. We must do it the Sharia way. We are talking, people talks about rights, but on the other part of it, there's responsibility, there's accountability, there's loving, there's care that must follow with that rights. I think that's the point that each and every one of us, the financial planners out there, need to think into consideration rather than becoming too product centric or trying to push the best solution to the client, but the humanitarian aspect of it, the Sharia aspect, the real underlying Sharia aspect of it must be also taken care of. I would love to bring this further, but of course we have a time constraint, and to be fair, there's quite a number of Q&A from the floor. But I think the panelists in covering the topics and the questions that I have asked have covered actually to some of the questions. Of course, we can take this separately. MFPC Secretariat can share the questions with the panelists separately. So on that note, I would like to give the opportunity to each and every panelist within the confine of 1 minute to share your final thoughts, your final sharings for us today. Again, Cik Asri, you have the privilege to be the one to share your thoughts.
Thank you, Cik Daim. Two things. I think one is just to apologize if I was the cause for holding you even until 1:20. We are still here. But anyway, this is serious. Actually, for takaful insurance, if you want to get a good consideration or contribution or premium, whatever you want to term it, I think take when you feel that you don't need it. Then the contribution will be cheap. I mean, if you, in terms of the health plan, for example, take when you are still healthy, then the contribution will be low. And in terms of the protection that concerns your life, take when you are still young. So let's share with the people surrounding us. I think MFPC, you have a big crowd of people who can shout out loud on this. Trust me that everyone needs takaful or insurance, and there are more people there will need your advice to make sure that they can subscribe to the right product. Thanks so much.
There's some great pro tips from Cik Asri there. Take takaful or insurance when you don't need, as in when you are healthy. Yeah, when you are not pressed to it. So that probably you get the advantage of having a lesser contribution with adequate cover. Puan Wanita?
Okay, for me, in terms of investments, it's always about money, right? It's how to make money, being fast enough to catch the opportunity. So basically for me, the takeaway is learn. Just always keep learning, always find ways of, sourcing and getting information. Go to the correct platforms, whatever, blogs, Discord servers, whatever, that you can find a good group of people. So my advice is get into a group that has the same mindset and has a good mix of the age, basically between the young and 30s and then maybe 50s, because you need the whole range, for them to share their experience. Because sometimes even if you're 40 and above or 50 and above, you still would like some inputs from the younger generation, because they have also quite good ideas which you would have not thought about. So you have a good group with all these mixed backgrounds and location and also age group will be very good. You have a better perspective on how else you want to invest and explore. Like right now, I think everyone's looking at NFTs, digital art. So there's a lot of things that you can look with digital Islamic art. There's a lot of these you never thought about it before until you go into a group. And then you get into the discussion, you listen to other people, and that's where you learn and acquire knowledge, along the way. And also, yes, I still would like to keep repeating about the hedging part. Please continue to plan, learn, read, get information and sharing from the people who have actually experienced something so that it became a life lesson to you. So that you don't, it doesn't happen to you. And I also like on the estate planning because hedging also, I'm sorry, I have to use it, that word. Like what Doctor mentioned, we would hope that our children will doa for us, right? But what if they're busy? So I need to have a hedging mechanism there, I have to, ensure that I allocate certain amount of my money for my wakaf and donation that they will still run even I'm not around. So planning is important. It's not just for making money while you're alive, also for your afterlife. So I think I would like to end there to all participants. I do hope you have learned some information from me, and thank you very much for your time, for staying with us, listening to me for my part. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Few keywords: hedging, planning, invest in knowledge. Thank you for that fair bit of advice, Puan Wanita. Dr. Sadali, last but not least, definitely some words of wisdom.
Sure. Okay, you guys planners, what you did is a very noble job. Remember, it's a noble job. Okay, it's a job that putting humanity first. And the only way for you to do this job well is to enhance yourself, get more knowledge on estate planning, especially because through this process you are able to help the client in selecting the product that they need for takaful, even in investment. So you have to attend more of this estate planning program. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, our esteemed panelists, Encik Asri Omar, Puan Wan Intan, Dr. Sadali. It has been a very insightful session, and I truly appreciate the feedback, the knowledge, the sharing, and I'm sure our audience would feel the same too. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our roundtable discussion topic for today. I wish you a good day ahead. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Amali, I hand over back the proceeding to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Encik Khairul Daim and respected panelists for the